Whoa. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Stuff I Heard podcast. I don't know if you guys heard that. That's a new little thing. I just pressed the record button and this voice was like, this meeting is being recorded. I'm like, what is that? So anyway, Stuff I Heard podcast. This is episode 307, and I happen to have Josh Treadaway here. Hey, buddy.
What's up, man?
Oh, you're wearing the shirt.
Yes, I am.
Sweet. So, yeah, I was trying to get set up in here in the new setup. We were able to paint this room and kind of get some stuff sort of set up. I mean, it's going to take me a while. I don't know exactly where everything's going to go. I got to figure out all this, behind the scenes stuff that people don't see. But if anybody's watching this on YouTube, we were talking about this just before we started. I got this new cool Boba Fett picture behind me that's like 5 different screens. It's like, I found it on Amazon. I actually saw it advertised, I think, on Facebook or something like that. And looked it up on Amazon, and it took a little looking to find one that was in the United States, because the one I found originally was like in Europe and everything was in centimeters. And I was like, I don't know how to, I know I'm supposed to know how to convert that, but I was like, I don't want to. Just show me the inches. How many inches is it? Because we turned this room around a little bit, and I wanted it to be able to fit between 2 doorways. I've got a closet on one side of me and a restroom on the other, and I've got basically 79 inches between me. I did shoot a video of kind of setting all this up with the picture. I have yet to make that YouTube video, but it will pop up. But if anybody's watching on YouTube right now, I'm going to grab the camera and just point it up. So this is why you want to watch the YouTube. So it looks pretty cool. I was going to put the lightsabers across the top, like, almost like a
crisp.
Well, not cross blades, but maybe like coming to a point at the helmet, because I thought that would look really cool. But at the last minute, I was like, nah, let's not do that. It's a little weird. So I got them still over here on this other wall where they used to be. Just lowered them a bit and moved the Legos around. And of course, then I'm like, what am I doing with these Legos? I'm 47 years old. This is ridiculous, but also, hey, cool Legos. So
it's
anyway.
Legos, man. It's Star Wars Legos.
So
care how old you are.
There is that duality of going, what am I doing? And then you're like, I know what I'm doing. It's fine. It's all good. We're all good. So yeah, this is the first time I've done this since we've moved things around, and I'm still trying to figure out how to set things up the way I want them. But anyway, I miss you. Heart hands.
I thought you were hugging me for a minute. I was going to give you a hug.
I was giving you a hug earlier. Yeah. Trying to move things around. Yeah. So what have you watched? Because I know you were telling me earlier that you've been consuming something and wanted to talk about it.
I didn't actually. I just wanted to see if we had any content that we could talk about together. Because I haven't watched a lot, but everything I kind of watched, I was wondering if you had watched. Well, I watched a few episodes of the Love, Death, and Robots that you talked about
first season or second?
First season.
Okay.
I saw the one you were talking about with the cats, and by far it's one of the funniest ones.
Yeah.
I think my most disturbed so far was the one where the girl saw the guy kill the girl, but it was her, and then it turned out that she killed him, and then saw him in the across the scene. That one kind of threw me off a bit.
That's weird, isn't it? It's like a weird time loop. You're like, how did the time thing got turned or something, and she's there, but how? Yeah, that one's wicked.
That one kind of threw me off a little bit. So that one, I enjoy the show so far. Plan on watching the rest of the seasons. We'll get to more of those as I continue as well.
And they're easy to watch because they're short.
Right, exactly. I mean, I watched 2 of them yesterday while I was just sitting here waiting for the guy to come for our water heater, because our water heater cracked. Yeah, not fun.
Yay, adulting.
Yay, adulting. So we're looking into possibly doing a tankless.
Oh, cool.
I've heard good things about tankless ones. And it also increases the value of the house on the resale.
Yeah.
So that's something she's looking into it, actually, not me. She's got a guy who does like plumbing work, and then she's got an electrician, because apparently you have to have a plumber come in and an electrician come in to do that kind of thing.
And there's permits for everything.
Right.
And
you have to have a permit for everything. So you have to have someone who's licensed and bonded. So they go get the permits from the county. Yeah, it's a big adulting board BS thing.
Yeah.
So But
Well, I'm
the other
interested in
thing,
doing the same thing, so I'm glad you mentioned that because we've been talking about that too. Our hot water heater is as old as the house. It's 14 years old,
that's about
and
the lifespan.
yeah, so it is. I mean, everything seems like it happens all at once, right? The
Oh yeah.
air compressor went out, or the compressor on the air conditioner went out last year. The one in the upstairs bedroom went out last year, and I'm like, anytime now, the hot water heater is going to be like, that's it, I'm done. Exit stage left. You're like, ah, come on.
Yep.
So
We had a guy come over. He does some like handyman work. He's not bonded, but he did some handyman work and put up her barn doors in the bathroom.
mhm,
Like she got like the sliding barn door kind of stuff.
mhm.
But he looked at it and he said he didn't see any cracks like hardcore. Like it was, we just saw water in the bottom base, but he didn't see any like actual like structural cracks. So he said we could probably get away with about a month and a half and just kind of keep an eye on it. So that way we can still have hot showers and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That gives her a little bit more time to research and find out, what's going to be the best way to do it. So we're not using it like all the time. We're not like washing clothes constantly like we had been. And we're not, taking, long showers, but we are using a little bit of hot water and still using the machine. It seems to be working fine for now.
So you could go with the whole hippie thing and just put patchouli oil on you, right?
Oh God, no. Listen, I respect hippies as much as anybody. But that truly is one of the
Some of my
worst
favorite people are hippies. Don't get me wrong.
But that is one of the most god awful smells. Oh, my aunt is a straight up hippie from the '60s, but I could not stand to be around her if she had patchouli oil on. Thank God she's not one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, I like hippies, but could you just bathe just a little bit?
That's it.
I mean,
just bathe. That's all.
Soap is a big thing. I like soap.
You can buy good soap. You can buy all natural soap.
Yeah, cold compress, charcoal base, tar base, whatever. Just
anything
just
but patchouli oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the reason why I called you yesterday to see if you would watch this show was because it's the content that I've been watching with Chrissy, and we didn't realize that the season was already over until we got to the end of it. But we were watching Shadow and Bone.
Yeah. So Shadow and Bone, I saw it advertised, and I felt like it was just another show that Netflix is like, we got this other show that kind of has some witchcraft in it, and it's like, But then, like, one of the girls that was the main character looked a lot like Michelle's sister, Adrienne. Adrienne is an actor and a stunt woman and has been in all kinds of things. She looks just like her. I was like, dude, that's Adrienne. And my wife was like, I don't think so. Look up the name. She goes, it is close. And my wife has got one of those eyes where she can just spot actors and go, oh, I know who that is. That's so-and-so from this show. And I'm like, how did you do that? She has just this uncanny ability to do that. She also has one of those types of brains that can see adults and remember them as children. Like she can be like, oh, I remember you. You were in Jared's third grade class of Mrs. So-and-so's. And I'm like, how did you do that? She's like, what? Can't everybody? I was like, no, that's like a superpower. I mean, it's a lame superpower, but still, that's a superpower. That's things that most people can't do. I mean, but it's really cool. But yeah, Shadow and Bone. What do you think?
Originally, I thought it was kind of, I don't know, goofy and quirky. Mm-hmm. And because I was like trying to figure out the fold thing and all that. And as it got into like episode 3 and 4, I was like really impressed with the creation of the world. Like, I mean, they created a whole new world.
Yeah, it was very immersive. And I thought Ben Barnes did a great job of pulling you in as the bad guy.
Yes, he did.
Because he's complicated.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, they do I don't like the flashback and flash forward thing that they keep doing, but I understand why they did it. But you get to look at him as kind of like Marvel does, where they show you some background story and show that he wasn't always bad. He just made a decision because he was really angry. And from it, bad things happened. And he sort of became a bad guy because of circumstance. And, I loved him in The Punisher, and I thought he was a great bad guy in that. And this, I mean, he is that ever-present, non-stopping force that we see at the very end. Spoiler, if you haven't seen it, is still coming after them. I mean, even when you think that they're safe and that he's been consumed by the things he created, he then falls out of it as like the leader of them and like summoning them outside of their own world. And I'm like, whoa, holy crap. So Very cool idea for a story. One of my favorite characters was the sharp dressing black guy with the two guns. He was the sharpshooter.
Yes,
I
Jasper.
loved him. Casper, yeah, great
Jasper.
character.
Yeah.
I loved his little witty snapback comments all the time, and I mean, he was amazing with the guns, man. Holy cow! Just
Oh yeah, the fact that he could hit, he was trying to hit the guy in the same spot, the exact same spot, so it would soften. I mean,
yeah.
I thought that was really awesome, using ricochets and
Well, and
you
when
know,
they were trying to get into they were trying to get into that circus thing, and he's like shooting behind him with a mirror. Just
yeah, he's got like the little silver platter
yeah,
and shoots
I'm
the
like,
card,
holy
shoots the guy
crap!
out of the mouth.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, I know it's Hollywood. I know it's a story, and it's all make 'em ups, but still, great character. I enjoyed him a lot. I wasn't crazy about the guy with the cane. I thought that story
I
was kind
kind of
of
liked him.
weird. You did?
I kind of liked him. He's kind of like the Batman. Like he didn't have any real special, other than the fact that he's just really a great leader and tactician.
He is a good tactician. Yeah.
It's kind of like Hannibal. Hannibal's not really anything special. He just has the brain in the A teams.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of saw him.
Yeah. Except that he kind of looked like he always had to poop. Like he had that face, like he's grunting, like he's just one pinch away from the last load.
Okay, I didn't really catch that, but I can see it as you say it. Yeah, now he did have that face right there.
With the eyebrows. I don't get it. But whatever. They're important because, like, again, we were talking about good actors versus bad actors. Whoever he is, you don't think of him as that person. I mean, he does become the character that you aren't sure if you should hate or like. I mean, he did a good job of that.
Yeah, because you can't tell if he's a villain or a good guy.
Yeah, and
I mean,
he has some weird relationship.
He's a mercenary.
Yeah, and he has some weird relationship with that girl who's a contortionist and a gymnast, and I think there's a bit of a love story there or something.
I think there is as well. I think she fell for him, and then he tried to pretend like he didn't, and right at the end, he's like, "Yeah, you're not going back. Don't worry."
Yeah.
Now it's his way of saying, "I love you."
Right. So yeah, I agree. They created an immersive world that was textured and layered in such a way that you're like into it. I agree. The first few episodes, it felt like almost forced, like they were just not showing you enough or showing you a little too much of one side or the other side. And it wasn't until maybe about the fourth episode that suddenly everything started coming together. Third or fourth episode, you started then going, okay, I see the bigger world now. Because, in the beginning, when they're talking about the fold, they're not really showing you too much, and they're not really talking about what it is. I mean, even when they're passing through it, there's no real mention of what it is until you see the flashback episode. And I mean, all that set up with the director and the editor trying to figure out how to piece it together. And, it's an interesting way to tell the story. But all in all, I mean, I will be watching the next season if they come out with it. So.
Well, yeah, they have to. Please, I got to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the Bad Batch.
Okay.
This last week, we got to see a character that I did not think was going to pop up in this universe, but Fennec Shand.
I was curious if you thought that's who it was.
Yeah, it's Fennec Shand. Totally cool that she popped in on the scene. I mean, I was like, no way. And it's even voiced by her. Yep. I was like, okay, so that's definitely Fennec Shand. And, I'm trying to picture the timeline of this. And we saw the enacting of Order 66 in episode 1. She obviously hasn't come into contact with Boba Fett or with that saga they're having to deal with the Mandalorian. So this is pre all that. This is that little wedge in between there.
Well, yeah, because when they met Mandalorian, I believe, yeah, Order 66 was executed, and so
this was maybe like Mandalorian was maybe what 5 years later is what we thought.
5 or 10 years later, maybe
somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Yeah. So she hasn't come in contact with Boba yet.
This is still her as a self-reliant mercenary, bounty hunter going after everybody, and very capable apparently. An extremely good sharpshooter, and matched up with these guys really well, where they're trying to protect Omega, but also like get their mission done and get off of the planet that they're on with a lot of craziness going on. I thought it was really funny that they allowed Tech to be pass as a droid.
Yeah.
And then he goes in there and removes their restraining bolts, and then has the other droids help them fix the machine by just basically like hoodwinking them, going, "Oh, well, I could do it, but you're the leader. Obviously, you should be able to do it." And, yeah, I got this. You just hang on. We'll take care of this. And I was like, that's pretty smart. Yeah. I like where the story is going, but again, I don't know how it's going to end, because my theory before on how Wrecker was talking about his head hurting was not even brought up in this episode. So it's not him constantly changing or turning. So maybe that was just a result of their accident in that one episode. So I did read something online that says that the guy who wrote the music for the final episode was told to write it so that you want to cry. And apparently when they shot the last scene and played the music over it, everyone wept. And I'm like, well, okay, well, obviously somebody important dies, probably all of them. This may be a one and done Bad Batch, because maybe they all die trying to save Omega for some reason, or maybe she dies trying to save one of them, or I don't know. It's nerve-wracking to think about, because
that is very disturbing to think about.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, what is the tragedy? What is the thing that we don't want to see? Does the Caleb Doom come back to avenge his fallen Jedi master and kill them in the process of, and then I don't know, somehow comes into contact with Omega? I don't know. I think it's going to end crazy. I think that whatever the final episode of this thing is, it's going to be really crazy.
Well, if you're saying that he's gotten the music to make people cry, I mean, that's...
Yeah, there's going to be a huge tragedy of some sort. So, I don't know. I hope they keep them going. It's kind of fun to watch these guys interact with each other. Let's face it, they're all sort of elements of our own personality. We all want to think that we're cunning like Hunter, or really smart like Echo or Tech, or just a giant dumb brute like Wrecker. I mean, they're all likable in their own special way.
But with a heart of gold.
Yeah, of course. And it's fun watching them navigate this new world of this new republic, and them suddenly being the guys being hunted instead of the guys who normally went after bad guys. So
right, and trying to figure out how to get rations and get credits.
Yeah, and all the while trying to stay anonymous so that they're not tracked. So it is kind of interesting. I did see something that said that Star Wars and Disney have decided to scrap their idea for the what was the show with Gina Carano, the Rangers. I think she was going to be that Rangers of the Republic.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't know for sure what it was.
They've decided to scrap those plans, but they also announced that Dave Filoni is now the executive producer of the Star Wars franchise for them. And I thought, well, isn't that kind of what he was doing anyway?
Yeah, he pretty much. I mean, that's just finally giving him the title that he was already.
Yeah. I'm like, if you guys have any idea of how to make money,
listen,
then
what he did.
Bank it all on Dave.
What he did on Clone Wars pretty much gave him that title.
Yeah. And then Rebels, holy crap. I mean.
Well, yeah. I mean, Rebels by far was much more just thought-provoking and appreciative of what the story was. But the Clone Wars just set up so much stuff that, like, for me, again, I didn't watch it to start off with because it was a cartoon. And don't get me wrong, I still like cartoons. But I didn't just go running to watch it. I watched a few episodes here and there. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, I got to watch this.
Yeah.
This is really good.
Well, and somebody asked me, they said, there was a quote online that said something about, should I watch the animated show for information? And then below it, it was another meme, and it says, no, you should watch it because we all wanted more content. And here's the content that you think you didn't want, but you actually do.
Right.
And they're right with all of them except for the underwater episodes, because those suck. I mean, I get it. They're trying to keep Gungans as part of the story, but they're just stupid.
Yes, I remember you not enjoying the underwater episodes.
They're all skippable. There's nothing to it that adds any texture to anything else in the story other than somehow leading up to us knowing who Jar Jar Binks is in the future. And I'm like, I don't really care. I mean, honestly, I don't care. Unless there's some bigger story of him actually being a Sith Lord.
No, there's no way.
There is that theory. It's a stupid theory, but there's that theory
it's a
out
very
there.
stupid theory on that one, in my opinion.
Listen, if you have that theory out there, people, I'm not saying that you're stupid. It's just your idea is stupid. So there you go. I want to clarify that. And if I'm wrong, like feel free to email Greg at 5and40@gmail.com. He would be happy to handle all of your complaints and comments. Just make sure to include a $20 bill because there is a processing fee, and he will take all of those upon reception and reply to you right away because he really enjoys that. So just wanted to throw that out there for our complaints department. So my thing that I wanted to watch that I finally got to watch this morning is super long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. Army of the Dead.
Okay. I heard about this. Haven't watched it.
With Dave Bautista as the main character. The UFC guy gets his own show, and it's awesome. It's really fun. Zack Snyder was the director, and I guess he after he mourned the loss of his daughter, he got right into production and just started making really amazing stuff. This is good. This is a lot of gratuitous violence and a little bit of a story, and you don't need the story. It's just like, all right, this is just fun.
Okay.
It's not boss level fun. It's more like 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger commando fun. He's just gonna He's gonna walk through and
no good story, just
a lot of obliterating zombies, yeah. Okay. And there's a second level zombie that's like the alpha zombies, and they're a little smarter, they're a little more cunning, they're a little more interesting, and thus there is some people involved in the story that are a little more interesting as well. But Dave Bautista is a movie star. I mean, I know he was a UFC fighter. He got to play in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you're like, okay, this guy's kind of a cool deal. And then when they did the Blade Runner reboot, he was in one of the opening scenes with Ryan Reynolds. And you could tell he's taken acting lessons and he's gotten into the acting. But there's only so many movies that The Rock can do, and Dave Bautista feels the need. I'm just saying. He's a big SOB. He can throw some shit around. But he's fun to watch. They sort of the interesting thing about this movie though is Chris D'Elia was supposed to be in the movie, and then Chris D'Elia had his sex scandal with underage girls, and so now that's under investigation, and they basically decided to pull him from the movie, and they recast him with another comedian, Tig Notaro. And my wife was like, why do I know that name? And I said, well, she's a comedian. And she was like, no, that's not why I know her. And I said, she had breast cancer and almost died. And then after she got over breast cancer, she had a mastectomy. And then she went on tour and basically talked about how she almost died because of these things that killed her, almost killed her. And there was a big publicity thing about how she just came out and was like, this is what happened, and I'm better for it. And it was terrifying. And let's just keep rolling with it. Let's just keep, there's no sense in sitting around going, oh, poor Tig. Let's move on. And she did her like one person show where she started showing up in people's backyards and doing comedy whenever everybody was trying to figure out why venues were, being, I don't know, for some reason, maybe because she had cancer or something, they were like, I don't know if we should put her on stage. It's not really that funny. So she was like, screw it. I'm just going to take a film crew. I'm going to hire her myself, and I'm going to start doing comedy in people's backyards. So she would like get other comedians to go with her, and they would just show up at people's house party, and they would film themselves, and they would be in the backyard, and she'd have a microphone. She goes, anybody like comedy? And it was like, it was something kind of renegade and cool. And I was like, I kind of dig this. I mean, I listened to a lot of it. She put it all on YouTube and stuff. She was like, nope, you can't tell a performer to stop performing. I still want to do this thing. And so she went and did it, and it was good. And her acting in this is pretty good too. I mean, she's got some clever one-liners in it, and she's kind of an integral part in the movie. But my favorite part was, he's trying to get a crew together. She's supposed to be a helicopter pilot, and he's offered like a bunch of money, and he said, you get together a crew and you can decide what to pay them. So everybody's going to, he's offering him a little less money. And all he basically needs her for is to fly them out of this zone where they're going to have zombies all around them and stuff. And she was like, I don't care what it pays. Does it have one of these? And there's helicopters behind her. He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm in. Like, I don't care what it pays. I'm in. Helicopters, I'm in. Just let me fly. So it's kind of cool. But there's a neat storyline to it. And I'm not going to give it away, but it's worth watching. There is a lot of freedom that Zack Snyder apparently has been given in this to just show some really stylistic zombie killing. I mean, it's almost like Matrix level events.
Really?
When it's time to get into zombie killing. And I'm like, dude, this is pretty impressive. So anyway, that's my win for the week. I enjoyed that. I also watched something called Money Explained on Netflix. And, Greg and I, or you and I and Greg have been talking about money and about finances and 401ks and retirement and stuff like that. And just so happens that Netflix put out this little, I don't know, maybe it's 6-episode mini-series thing called Money Explained. And the first episode had to do with scams and fraudulent and stuff, fraudulent cases and stuff like that. And it goes back and it talks about one of the first fraudulent scams that ever existed in recorded history was when the New World was being discovered. There was a guy that was down in the Yucatan Peninsula who sailed back to Scotland and England area and was selling everybody on this piece of property that they should invest in now because, land prices were going cheap and they could get these grand plantations with acreage. And, he was making all these grand claims like, if you planted a crop, you could harvest it 3 times in a year because the land was so fertile, and there was literally gold clumps on every piece of property that you go to dig into, giant, chunks of gold. And so people bought into it like crazy. And they estimated that the money that he sold these fake certificates to, he even come up with like a fake flag and a fake name for the place and fake people and even a fake like song that they had for their country. And everyone bought into it. He was a heck of a salesman. And they figured up that basically what he would have sold that for in today's money would have been about $40 million worth.
Wow.
I was like, what? So that was one. They talk about the scam of this guy named Ponzi who came up with the Ponzi scheme where everyone puts into it and only the people at the top make the money, or actually he makes the money. And he just pays out a few people once in a while. It all falls apart when everybody asks for their money because they talk about that. They talk about the pyramid scheme. They talk about some things that are like pyramid schemes, like Amway, where you can make money, but you have to invest your own money, and how really you only get the people that are involved in it end up paying 70% of what they make, and they only get like 10% back. It's really crazy. But they talk about a bunch of different scams that are going on. And I was watching it, and at the same time, my wife had a scam come across her phone that's one of these new scams that I think a lot of people are going to fall for if they're not careful. We live in a time right now where everybody's ordering stuff online to be delivered to their house. And she was expecting something to come from her sister that she had tried to mail, and it got sent back to her. Apparently there wasn't enough postage on it. So she was sitting in the kitchen one night this week, and she goes, I got this weird text message saying that, or an email saying that it was from the postal service that they tried to make a delivery and I wasn't here, and there needed to be postage paid, so that I needed to pay this postage so it could be delivered. And it was like $3, something minimal, right? And you think, okay, well, that sounds like something that's real. But if you click on it, it takes you to a website, and it looks like a post office website, but you're supposed to put in your credit card number and stuff like that to pay this $3 fee. And she was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, nope, exit. She was like, this is not real.
You never go to any links.
Yeah. And I mean, if I had not had this podcast and had talked about this for a long time now, I don't think she would have been savvy enough to pick up on that. And there's a lot of people out there that aren't going to be savvy enough to pick up on it. It has become such a thing lately with these fraudulent scams going on that I got an email from Wells Fargo this past week saying, Better protect yourself from fraudulent scams. Here's 5 common ways that people are trying to get your passwords and your information. And it's like, no one will ever ask you for these things. And it lists off the things that they supposedly ask you. Like if it's a time constraint, you must do this by this time. Or if
Yep.
it's a log in here now for this, click this link now for this. You know, there was like, if you ever get any of that stuff, you know, contact your people through your own channels and then find out if there's information that needs to be taken care of. But don't ever click on their links. Don't ever put in your passwords to anything, especially if you're clicking through their links. You know, go through it with your own secure channels and then find out if it's real or not. And if you find out it's fake, you know, send it to the people that has
Report
the
it.
fraudulent department. You can report it. You can go on Google and say, where do I report scam emails? Where can I report fraudulent stuff from my bank or from UPS or wherever? And there are places you can send that stuff. And they have an IT team that works for all these companies that's trying to figure out how to track these people down. My dad used to work for a bank up in Maine, and he was part of that department. And he said that most of the time that stuff went back to some kind of terrorist organization that had hackers that were just constantly trying to come up with new schemes to make money. And they figured if they could swindle people out of, you know, $5 and $10 here and there, it all adds up. And if they got into the back door of your thing, you thinking that it's just a small little thing, next thing you know, they're charging anything they want. And the banks all secure it, so they're like, "Oh no, it's fine. We'll erase it from your history." Meanwhile, they got the money.
Yep.
But you know, maybe it's like that Dogecoin or that Bitcoin thing that happened with the pipeline. Maybe they're able to follow the money and go, "Oh, we can go after them now." I mean, I'm hoping that's the case. So
Well, I
anyway,
hope.
the the money explained part was there are several episodes. One was about gambling, which I'm not a gambler at all. But it was interesting to see the numbers on the gambling and how much people gamble and how addictive it is for a lot of people, how they lose everything. There was one guy in the introduction who's like, yeah, you know, I made $1.6 million in a day and I also lost 1.6 million and some change a day later.
Yep.
Um, there was a thing on there about, um, oh, the one that made me angry was about education. It talked about student loans. It talked about the history of student loans and how student loans were created and what they were supposed to be and how they've turned over the years and how for a lot of people it is a debt that they never get out of. And the thing that got me angry was when they said that this is the only way that you can make it in America above a what they considered lower income family. And I was like, no, it's not. There's entrepreneurs out there all the time. Not only that, I work with a bunch of CDL guys who just got a CDL and they're making great livings providing for their family. My wife never went to school. She was an entrepreneur. She and her first husband owned businesses. When she got out of that, she got into sales. You can make money and you don't have to go to college. I mean, to me, there is an organizational movement where people have been brainwashed into thinking that education is the only way to make a living, and it's not. The world needs people who are doers. And if you're a doer, there's a job for you. There's an opportunity for you. And the whole
Complete.
message made me angry.
Well, I believe that had its place of, you know, about maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe 10 possibly, because I believe at a certain time things started to change and people started to understand that you've got some people that can't afford to go to college, but they are, like you said, they're workers. They've got the knowledge,
Yeah.
they've got the, you know. But before that, I mean, you could not apply for upper level management job without at least an associate's degree.
Well, at some places
Right.
don't care. I think that through 9/11, a lot of businesses have realized that real life experience counts for a lot because they started making amends for people who had military backgrounds with certain educational things that they'd done that maybe wasn't a degree, but could qualify them for the same level of employer or employee. But once they started doing that, they realized, oh, there's other people with real life experience that could just as easily do this job. They don't have to have a degree to do it. And I think more and more businesses have started realizing that lately. I know at my company, a lot of times they'll have a listing for an upper level job and it'll say minimum requirements. And usually it's stuff like high school degree or equivalency. and it'll say, you know, at least 3 years of this or 5 years of this, preferred a bachelor's degree or blah blah
Right.
blah. But doesn't mean that you're going to be the one they want to hire. It just means it'd be nice if one of those applied, but chances are that's not the person they're going to hire. They're going to hire from within. So, I mean, I got angry watching that episode. Then there was an episode about retirement.
Okay.
That one was interesting. That one was actually it's like swallowing a horse pill. It was like, okay, I know this is something I need to hear. So I mean, I was paying attention. I didn't have my phone in my hand or anything. I was just watching it. It talked about how retirement used to be set up that you just worked until you died, and then at a certain point they realized, oh, we needed to like make a way for seniors to have a better than poverty level existence. So they came up with Social Security as an idea, and they sold it as this idea of, oh, once you're retired at 60 years old, you'll be fine. But back then, people didn't live up to maybe 65 years old. And now that we've gotten older, a lot of people are living up until their 80s, but not everybody. If you're in the poverty stance, you're passing away in your 60s. And if you're wealthy, you're living into your 80s and 90s on generally basis because of a different level of life, different level of healthcare, different level of existence in general. But they talked about the 401k, how 401k was started in the 80s. Apparently, 401k became a way for people to retire using their own money and their own savvy. Whereas in the past, it was leaned on more for companies to have a pension,
Right.
and how it really required every individual to become more and more money savvy as time went on. And of course, as I'm watching it, they're giving real life examples of how some people are doing 401ks, and some are having a Roth IRA, and some are having an HSA, and some people are having you know, this and that and the other. And I'm like, my eyes are going like this. You know, I'm like, what? And Dolores is watching it with me, and she goes, we should probably hire a guy and sit down and talk to him about our money, and just have someone smarter than us who knows about this stuff kind of give us a direction. And she's right. I mean, when I asked my dad, I said, how much is enough to retire? He goes, depends on your lifestyle. If you have a simple lifestyle, you can retire on less. He's not wrong. You know, I asked mom the same thing. She kind of said the same thing. She goes, it just depends. You know, what is enough? What are you going to spend on a regular basis? You can't base it upon what you're doing right now, because you're like us. We're constantly renovating this house right now. So at a certain point, we won't be renovating the house all the time. But you know, stuff like food, shelter, electric, gas, you know, bills. How do you gauge how much is enough for your medical bills that are coming up?
Right.
That's a big question mark for a lot of people, and it really depends on their lifestyle. I mean, if you're a smoker, obviously you're going to have problems with cancer probably. If you're an obese person, you're going to have problems with your sugar, and your diabetes is a possibility. I mean, if you play with wire a lot, you might get some in your eyeball, you know, that kind of stuff. So it really depends on your lifestyle as to how much healthcare you're going to need. If you have a history of, like, you know, heart disease, or, you know, cancers, or you know, blood pressure, or cholesterol, or whatever it is, all of that is a factor, and it could mean more and more need for more insurance. Her dad right now is going through a bout with cancer. It's his second run-in that he's had with cancer in his lungs. About 14 years ago, he had to have part of a lung removed, and he applied for some cancer insurance, and it was like a simple cancer plan that was only like $5 a month. It was really cheap, and he paid into it. And it was weird because it was after he'd already had cancer, but he's like, chances are this might come back, and I just want to be protected. So $5 a month, he was paying it, and he's retired. He's on his Social Security, I think, is something simple, you know, very little money, but he still manages to save money because he doesn't spend much. I mean, you talk about living on minimal, he's doing it. But then he got this second bout of cancer, and, you know, Medicare is going to pay so much, and now this cancer insurance is paying the rest of it. And I'm like, holy crap, it's a good thing you got that, because that probably would have wiped you out, you know. So I don't know. It's an interesting, the whole thing is interesting to watch, and not every episode was for me. Obviously, there's some you can skip through, but it is worth watching to learn about. You know, we talk about how when we're younger, we're very passionate about sports or music or movies or stuff like that. And as we get older, we get passionate about politics and money and stuff that actually matters to us. I mean, it's fun to take a break and watch that other stuff, but at a certain point, you have to get excited about your own money
Or trying to make it.
or trying to make it. Yeah. Um, the retirement episode, this guy talked about how they did a study about how people envision themselves, and it had like a drawing of a person, and it said, now imagine a stranger, and you can imagine the stranger, and it says, now imagine that stranger 10 years older. And so it imagined this stranger at 10 years older. It says, now imagine yourself 10 years older. And people had a hard time relating to what that would even be. So then they came out with that face app that you could do that instant aging thing on your face. You could look at the camera and it would show you what you look like when you become elderly. And what they found was, by looking at that picture, it made people aware of, oh, I
The
need to
mortality.
invest in that person because that person is me. Because before that, it's kind of hard to even imagine what you would be when you get older. But if you see it, it's more relatable. You have more empathy for it. He said that we generally have empathy for like our children, our friends, our parents, that kind of stuff, neighbors. But we don't have much for ourselves because we think of ourselves as the person driving the cart and that, oh, I'm fine. And you don't ever picture your older self as part of that scenario. And now this app apparently has made a lot of people suddenly aware and go, okay, I should invest in me. I'm worth investing in. I
Well,
like me. I hope I'm still me later on.
that's basically what happened whenever Chrissy finally told me that, you know, she needed me to start thinking more along the lines of like a career job versus just, you know, slinging drinks and bartending and making money at that particular time.
Yeah.
And I had to sit back and take a quick gander of the fact that I'm now 45, be 46 here in August, and I have no plans right now of what to do when retirement comes.
Yeah.
And I'm closer to retirement age than I am to my 20s.
That's true.
So I was like, all right, well, I guess it's time to start. So that's why with this job, I took it mainly because of the idea of the position that I was going to get, which I ended up getting, and the benefits, which came with a company matching 401k. So at least that'll help me speed up the process where I'm putting in my 3% and the company's matching that 3%. So hopefully that'll help bridge some of that gap that I should have been doing this earlier.
Yeah. They one of the cool things that I saw that I thought was very inspiring was there are certain communities throughout the United States right now that are trying to combine elderly care with younger care, with like daycares, so that the elderly have something to look forward to, and they can then kind of help nurture and look after younger kids while they're in daycare, instead of them just being forced upon some worker who just doesn't have time for them. Now they can get a lot of one-on-one time with some grandmotherly, grandfatherly type presence.
Interesting.
This is good for both of them.
Yeah,
It helps them nurture and helps them feel wanted and needed and important. And even if all they can do is read to them, it's something.
it's something that alone keeps them going and gives them a
Yeah.
little bit of a purpose, so they don't sit there in their nursing home room and just wait to die.
Well, and we deliver food to a lot of places like that are, at a certain level of care. It's just people in wheelchairs asleep,
Yeah,
and it's sad. And I'm like, that's not living. That's just, you're just there.
you're just existing.
Yeah. My
So,
phone is lighting up. What's going on?
uh-oh.
Oh, I'll get to it later. Not important. You're more important, boo. So anyway, we talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on this podcast, but we've talked about several things coming up. This coming weekend, I'm going to Ohio to a friend's wedding. Friend of ours, his daughter's getting married. Actually, Ian was here about a year ago. Was it about a year ago? Yeah, about a year ago. Dan and Dan and Lori's future son-in-law.
Okay.
Ian came here with Mike, and I think Ian and Mike and Dan were here on a podcast where they're the two police officers from the Cleveland area. They came on and talked about, at the time, COVID had just started off, and I talked to them about, how difficult their job was with COVID and stuff like that. And those are cool podcasts. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, Ian is marrying their daughter, Meg. And so we're going up for that wedding this weekend. Looking forward to going to Ohio. It was the first time going there. We're flying into Cleveland. We're actually flying out of Myrtle Beach, Spirit Air.
Okay.
First time flying on Spirit.
First time flying on Spirit.
May not be my last. We'll see.
Enjoy no leg room. And make sure that you get nice and libationed up first, because they charge you well.
Well, I'm not a drinker on a plane.
I have to. I can't fly without drinking. I don't like flying.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I'm a very uneasy flyer.
Now we have friends that are flying with us that aren't like Kelvin. It'll be his first time on a plane. He's already told me. He said, if you hear me screaming in the back, come find me and hug me. And I was like, if you're screaming on a plane, I'm shooting a YouTube video and you're going to be part of it. And he was like, do I have any say in it? I go, not if you want me to help you. So, but yeah, we're all flying up there. We're actually getting a Airbnb or VRBO, something like that. And they've rented a large vehicle enough for 7 people. And I'm going to be driving because I'm the professional. So yay. But we've looked into going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we might be able to work that out on one of the days. They have weird hours. Like they don't open till 10 on Saturday, but on Sunday they open at 9. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
That is a little weird.
But I would like to see it. I think it'd be cool. I don't think this is going to be our only trip up to Ohio. I think this is probably our first. But it will be interesting to see, Cleveland as a whole. I mean, I know we're there for a wedding, but it's kind of cool to check out a new place.
You want to go see the house that LeBron built?
No. Listen, I appreciate him for what he is. That's fine. That's whatever. It's fine. He's fine. He's a good guy. Listen, I like him. He's a nice guy. I bet he'd be fun on a podcast. What happened to your voice? Where'd it go?
I lost you there for a second. Hold on.
Oh, I thought you hit a mute button.
All right, there we go. No, my internet's unstable apparently.
Oh no, the unstable internet. You'd think Myrtle Beach would have better internet.
No, Myrtle Beach is 20 years behind any other city in America, pretty much.
That's weird. They're going to have to get up to speed if they're going to do those casinos.
That's probably going to be 20 years down the road.
You think?
I'm thinking now it is, yeah. Originally, I thought it'd probably be about 5 or 10 years, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be longer now. I
actually was at Myrtle Beach yesterday delivering, and we were in that central area where the pavilion used to be, and it was crawling with people while we were trying to make deliveries. And, of course, they got the barricades up because it's bike week coming up, and they're trying to keep pedestrians from just walking into traffic because, let's face it, people on vacation, they're dummies. They will just walk right into traffic.
Especially nowadays with phones, they're just playing with their phone and walk right into it.
Yeah. And we saw a good bit of that. We actually had to drive very defensively going down the boulevard just to avoid a lot of people. But we got a little bit north, probably 21st Avenue area, and the crowd thinned out. We did see where they were renovating some hotels and had completely blown out their bottom 2 floors and were completely redoing the bottom 2 floors. And I could see fiber optics everywhere. And I was like, ooh, I remember Trey telling me about that.
Oh yeah. All these new places are being fitted for it. I mean, yeah. It'll be ready to go, but
So would it be weird to then change the name from Myrtle Beach to Myrtle Vegas?
Well, they've already got a Myrtle Vegas page. One of the local bar owners already started a Myrtle Vegas page.
Wow. That's incredible. Well, I mean, if it happens, which it probably will happen, but okay, we should say when it happens, it is kind of a cool area to bring your family. I mean, it's lots of golf courses, lots of good places to eat.
Oh yeah, it'll absolutely just wipe out Atlantic City.
It'll rocket ship all of those areas, and I hope to God they start building like a 22 bypass that goes to the south end of the beach, so I don't have to go through Conway. I mean, they should just complete that 22 loop, and when you're on 501, take that other loop and leave before you even get into Conway or Carolina Forest, because good golly, that traffic is stupid.
Oh, it's awful. It's really awful. I mean, and they're just expanding Carolina Forest left and right. I mean, they're just building houses everywhere.
Yeah. It's enormous the way it's just. In some regards, it's awe-inspiring, and in others, it's terrifying because you're like, wait, what's happening? Because it's growing so fast that the infrastructure itself is having a hard time keeping up.
Yep. North and South Carolina right now, the coast are the two fastest growing areas in the United States.
That's incredible.
You've got everyone moving down from the north, and you got a lot of people moving up from the south that went down into Florida, and it's too expensive now because of all the hurricane insurance and all of that kind of things. So now they're called halfbackers. They move down to Florida and move half back, and that's between North Carolina and South Carolina coastline.
Well, my dad's seeing a huge real estate surge in Maine. Trish's daughter Heidi just sold her house and made a lot of money on selling her house. It sold for way more than she paid for it. And apparently real estate up there is going like crazy because during COVID, a lot of people who lived in New York who learned how to work remotely then decided, I don't like living in a big city. It's a little scary. So they started looking for nice places that were, a little bit quieter, a little bit more reserved.
And more and more that's going to happen as we go back to normality. A lot of these places aren't going to pay for brick and mortar buildings anymore because they can work from home, they found out.
Yeah.
And that way you don't have to have an infrastructure like that, and you can save money on those. And that's the reason also, as I spoke to you about before, I'm taking these Google classes online. So I'm finishing my IT certificate and then working on trying to possibly get into cybersecurity because I think that's going to be the next big boom.
Well, and even my dad, who lived at the time in Union, Maine, they were probably 35 to 40 minutes from the coast and still had fiber optic. So, I mean, for whatever their infrastructure setup is, they are more prepared for internet and internet living than even I am. I mean,
yeah, I don't think
definitely more than you are.
I don't think we have fiber optic here. I thought we did, but we do not. And obviously, you see, my internet's awful. I mean, I just froze up 3 times on me on this podcast alone.
I didn't say anything, but I noticed.
Okay. Well.
I'm looking forward to our trip. You and I have planned a trip to go visit our buddy Greg in August.
Yep.
He's performing with his 95 band. And I think the plan is you come here on Thursday night and then you and I drive Friday.
I believe that's the case, yes.
And then we come back
Sunday or Monday?
Monday,
I think it was, yeah.
We might need Sunday to recover.
Yeah.
So like Monday, as he's getting ready to go to work, we'll just be like, all right, cool. And you can hop in and fall asleep and I'll fall us back. So you'd be like, wake me up when we get to South Carolina. I'm like, okay.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, we could take my Jeep. I get better gas mileage.
Yeah.
But that would have you riding, not driving. And I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I ride all the time at work. How do you feel about driving 7 hours?
I don't have a problem. I drove 10 hours to Nashville straight through.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
That's a possibility then.
I mean, highway miles, I'm getting between 25 and 30 miles a gallon.
Yeah.
It's going to be better than the Dodge.
Yeah, that's true. Although it's a really comfortable ride. I don't know. We'll have to talk about it.
We'll discuss that as it gets closer and closer.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm in a weird predicament now of I changed the room around a little bit, and I'm thinking about getting rid of these 2-seater chairs that are in here that I have on the table. If you look at the space I have available, I've moved stuff around. I now have the big table that I'm sitting at, and the table I used to sit at is out in front of me this way. I have a bench on this side, and I thought about making another bench for this side because, let's face it, nobody's really in here much. And when they are, it's just for the podcast, and then we're out of here. and the bench would save a lot of space. And I could probably sell these chairs or give them away to somebody. I mean, I don't know. I just
didn't you have someone already ask you to sell them one?
Yeah, I sold him too. But I thought about maybe putting these on Facebook page and seeing if somebody wanted them, or I could just put them on the Stuff I Heard page and see if anybody that follows me wants them. Hey, there's an idea.
That is an idea.
If you're interested in the chairs, I'll put a picture up, guys, and let me know if you're interested in chairs, and we'll see if we can work out a deal.
There you go.
You know, but I kind of feel like I need to make more space by not having them in here. So there's that.
Well, yeah, because you're kind of more sitting in like a smaller, shorter area now.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. The room is square no matter what.
Right, but what I'm saying is like you don't have the width that you had with the other.
Yeah. Yeah. My idea was just to have more room available in the room to do other stuff, and obviously to decorate. We did away with all the This is the wall that Dolores' pictures and stuff were on.
That's what I was saying. That's where all her medals and trophies and things were, right?
Yeah, I got her medals and stuff on over here by the window, between the window and the closet. And okay. I'm making her a new plaque thing for her, all those racing bibs that she wore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making her one right now in the garage. I put my first coat of poly on it. But I don't know. I got a new TV mount ordered for this TV over here, because this is a cheap Harbor Freight one that it's straight. When it's straight, it's level. As soon as you turn it, it leans one way or the other. It's a $9 one. It's a really garbage one. So I bought one that's the same kind that I have in the bedroom. It's like $29 on Amazon, but it's got the full motion with 2 arms, so articulates, every way that you want. It's a much better unit, and it keeps it balanced no matter which way it turns. So I got one of those ordered. It should be here today, as a matter of fact. So, lots of stuff going on. Just a matter of time. Just need more time. That's the thing is, I had time for 6 months and no money coming in, and now I have money coming in and I have no time. So
yeah.
It's always that trade-off, right?
Yep.
I've got video loaded on this camera that I got to get put on the computer for the YouTube, because I did stuff and I got to put it on there.
It's proof that I did stuff.
I got proof that I'd done stuff, and I need to put it on there, and just I don't have time. I gotta make time somehow.
You got the rest of the day off, right?
Yeah. So
you already ran errands, so you should have a little free time.
I'm marinating some steaks to grill. I had to put a new thing on the back door where the blinds were. You ever been to Lowe's and seen that thing that has the blinds encapsulated in glass?
Yeah, we had one.
Yeah, so I got one of those, and I put it on today before the podcast. Like, I started it at 10 o'clock or 10:30, and I finished it up right before the podcast, because it looked like simple instructions, but it's supposed to be a thing where you just put these little tabs in the top part. You like unscrew the top part, put little tabs in, and then the thing's supposed to sit on it. Well, the little tabs didn't bend out far enough, so I had to bend the things and make them fit. And I was like, well, this isn't in the instructions. This says all you need is a screwdriver. You okay? Not.
Okay, that's not what we had. We actually had the ones. She got the double French doors.
Yeah,
it had the blinds inside the double pane glass, and you had like a little slider.
This is an add-on. So, okay. Like if you have a window or door with a window built into it, you have like a frame that's along the outside. You just supposedly take a screwdriver and loosen that up, and then you put these little tabs in the top, and then this little thing sits on it like a picture almost, and it's supposed to sit in those tabs. And then on the bottom, you're supposed to loosen up the bottom one on both sides, and these little tabs slide in. Well, in theory, that sounds great. In practice, it takes a little bit longer. So I got good and sweaty doing that, and I was saying some bad words and all that fun stuff. But I got it all installed, and it looks fine. But yeah, I had to run errands this morning and run all over town. And
well, I'm actually getting ready to have to get off here and get ready for work myself.
I know you got to go to work.
I got to go to work, but now you've got time to sit and chill and play with your camera and put your videos up.
I gotta load video. I gotta get that stuff loaded. It's just, I gotta do it.
But I'm just saying, you're gonna have. It's only 1 o'clock,
Yeah.
so Dolores can what, around 6.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got 5 hours to yourself.
I'm teaching a class tomorrow. I've been teaching our defensive driving class at work just about every Wednesday for like the last month in a row. We keep having new hires coming in. We're just about full on drivers in Florence. We have some drop yard drivers to fill. We're adding a drop yard in Conway coming up soon, just to help out with the overflow of businesses at Myrtle Beach. And we have some guys that live in Conway, so that's kind of convenient for them too. But we're still hiring for the warehouse. Right now we're hiring on average 7 to 10 people a week just to keep up with demand, because some people show up for orientation and they quit right after orientation. Or some people show up the first night, they work an hour and they go, man, this is hard work, and they leave. And this past week we had a fight between two guys on the dock and both of them got fired. Sad part was they were two of our top guys. And so it was like, crap. But I mean, it's a busy place and there's a lot going on, and there's, you know, a lot of frustration, and young guys, this is their first real adult job. And, you know, when things go sideways, they go sideways in a hurry. So hopefully we can get all those spots filled. I'm hoping they realize that they should just incentivize these guys on how long they stay and try to get them to where they don't leave, because we need people to stay working. It's a good paying job. I mean, it's $20 an hour to start, and you can make up to $30 an hour within a short period of time. Plus you get bonuses based on everything that you do. So you can make a pretty good living working in a warehouse. Unfortunately, it's third shift, but it's a good start for a lot of people to get in the company.
You did that at McLeod.
Yeah, for a lot less money. I think back then it was like, $12 an hour or something like that.
I think it was like 12 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was working 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. 7 days a week. I mean, that was stupid. I used to think, man, I'm making a lot of money. And then later on in life, when you get those statements about your Social Security, it's like, you only made $12,000 that year. And I'm like, oh, crap. I thought I was doing better.
All right. Well, brother, I hate to shut it short, but I got to get ready and get dressed for work.
This ain't short. We did a good hour.
That's what I was trying to get, about an hour.
I love you, man. I hope you're doing well. And you know, we'll do one of these in person before you know it.
Yes, we will.
If I have to come to you or you come here, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. I mean, with this new position, I'm going to be guaranteed 2 days off. So gas shortage is kind of done now. We pretty much got gas pretty much everywhere around. So maybe sometime here in the next week or two, we can do this in person.
All right. So if anybody has enjoyed this, please let us know. Go on the Stuff I Heard podcast at gmail.com. If you have any complaints, send it to 5and40@gmail.com. Make sure to include a $20 gift certificate or cash. Greg loves cash. Just figure out how to email that to him. Bitcoin. Yeah. If you Bitcoin it, you know, and he'll get right away and reply to you. I mean, he loves that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Thanks again for being on the podcast, Josh. And for everybody out there, please remember to rate, review, subscribe. This does help the podcast get views, and it does help people enjoy it if they're into this kind of stuff. We'll constantly get back on here and talk to you guys about things that are going on, whether it's Star Wars or whatever, Marvel. There's always fun stuff coming up. But yeah. So with that being said, we're off, and cue the cow.
Peace and love.
Give me more likes. Give